listening to Cody Lundin's Keep Your Ass Alive, where Cody teaches real people real skills, giving raw, hard survival advice with a hug. And now, broadcasting from somewhere in a high desert wilderness, here's Cody.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Keep Your Ass Alive. I'm your host, Cody Lundin, and today we're talking with Mark Dorsten. And Mark Dorsten has been with the Aboriginal Living Skills School for quite some time. So we'll get into that and just have a friendly conversation around the old campfire. Is that enough heat for you? Do you want me to add some wood, or is that good?
That feels good.
That feels good.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks, Cody.
So welcome, Mark Dorsten.
Yeah.
So
Good
how
to
are
be
you
here.
doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, having a good day.
I have some questions for you. My first question is, where in the world did you grow up?
Yeah. Generally the Midwest. I would say, more formative years of 4 to 12 in Kansas City, Missouri. So,
And then?
then after that was Joplin, Missouri, Moorhead, Kentucky, Beaver Creek, Ohio. So kind of
I don't
jumped
picture you
around.
as like an East Coast dude, you know?
Well, Midwest, not really East
Midwest.
Coast. Not
Well,
West,
you're
not
right.
Coast.
But I don't
Yeah.
even picture you as you're solid Southwest as far
Right.
as
Well,
I
and then
know.
I think the broader question on where did I grow up, I feel like a lot of my growing up happened here in Arizona. So I came out here when I was 18.
What brought you out here to Arizona?
I attended Prescott College.
Okay,
yeah,
why? What was your interest in going to that college?
It just really looked cool. Right.
I want to go to a school that looks cool, right?
Right. Yeah. Back in the day, you'd get the catalog and you'd look at it. And that was a common theme, I think, for a lot of students of like, hey, that doesn't look like a normal college.
Mhm.
And it's not. And to see that, and I remember bringing the catalog to high school and showing my friends. And they said, that's not a real school. Right. But yeah, I came out to go to Prescott College.
Huh. Did you've grown up, as you just said, in the Midwest, etc. You're heavily involved in nature with what we do together.
Mhm.
Did you have a natural affinity with the natural world growing up, or was that something that spurned your interest here in the Southwest?
Yeah, no, I absolutely have a natural affinity to nature. That kind of elementary age time where I was in Kansas City, I lived on the other side of a woods and a couple of lakes from my elementary school. And I'd either ride my bike or walk to school every day. And I had to go through the woods. And
Wow, I didn't know that.
yeah. And, of course, I'd get home.
How old were
late.
you during this time?
I would say from first grade through fifth grade. Whatever age
Did
that
you
is.
literally make a path, or were you following
no.
deer paths?
Oh no, it's essentially a park. It's more improved than when I was there, but it was a trail. It was a full-on trail that I would walk through. And of course, on the way home from school, I'd, get in the water or, catch bullfrogs or something and just be a kid. Right. And I was always exposed to that really on a daily basis.
For that period of time. Then
Yeah.
when you moved around, did you think that time in nature, clearly it affected you now, but did that carry over when you were younger to the other places you moved? Did you have that opportunity?
Some places more than others. And my interest kind of waned and reemerged later in high school. And then I started like really looking into, hey, how can I go out and do this in a more active way and not just happen to
What
be
did
there.
that mean, more active way for you?
Get backpacking gear, get
Got
into
it.
backpacking, that kind of.
And this is before 18 or
Yeah.
when you hit out here after 18?
No, this is before.
So you had, you were literally backpacking when you were a teen then?
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
We do a lot of primitive living skills. And I think kids inherently are way into primitive living skills, because even if I was in my house with my parents, I was building forts with the tables and the
Mhm.
couch cushions and whatever. What really propelled you into primitive living skills, and why give a damn? Why do you care about that skill set?
I don't think I knew what it was called, but I think in general there was a desire of self-reliance, whether that was within the context of backpacking and thinking of that as of, engaging and being out in nature, or even just traveling in a minimal way. And it wasn't until I'd heard from other students about the Aboriginal Living Skills course that you taught at Prescott College. And, seeing the flyer, that you'd put up, right? You remember the flyer, right? And, it's like, yeah, that looks cool.
So literally you got turned on, God help you, primitive skills for me?
Yeah. I remember one of the most fundamental things I learned in that first course was how to properly use a knife. I'd used a knife, but I didn't ever use it in a way that's like a bushcrafting and the detail or the finer points that we use when we're doing skills. I didn't really know how to use a knife.
What did you hear? What type of trash talk did you hear about my course before you enrolled as a student? Do you remember? What year are we talking about? 97?
97 was when I took your course.
Wow. 1997.
Right. I can't say it was trash talk. It was just sort of like, it was almost like this urban legend or primitive legend, whatever, of some kind of like, wow, there's this crazy course where you make all your gear and you go out without any food, who doesn't want to do that, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I was like, sign me up.
Awesome.
And honestly, it was scary, right?
Before the sign up, during the course?
Oh yeah, everything. Oh yeah. It's a scary thing.
This is the first time we've talked about this sort of thing now, and we've decided to do it in public for the benefit of the viewing audience. But I didn't know that Mark Dorsten had a scary time in my Aboriginal living skills. I really honestly didn't, It's got to be freaky though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I like talking to Mark for many reasons. I like talking with Mark, but I don't go to a student and ask them, so what were you feeling when you signed up and stepped in the classroom, which is essentially outdoors?
Right.
So you'd had a desire for self-reliance. Nature turned you on when you were really young, walking through the woods, etc. You were backpacking when you were a teenager. You went out to this weird school in Prescott, Arizona that you thought looked cool. You saw the flyer for the course. So I guess it kind of makes sense in a way.
Yeah, all that lines up.
So I think when I first saw Mark, it was at some bank parking lot. And needless to say, I didn't keep office hours as adjunct faculty at this college.
You didn't have an office.
I didn't have an office. That's
but you required a signature.
I required a signature. He's telling you that. So I see this dude, and Mark had this like caveman beard back in the day. And he was like, ugh, and someone was coming at me in a bank parking lot with this homeless person, or what is this? You were looking for my signature for what? What did they require the signature?
The course required your signature.
Why? Well, I guess
Don't ask me. As far as I know, that was your requirement.
I was vetting.
You were vetting,
probably.
right?
I was vetting. Yeah. 1997.
Yeah.
God. Now that was 97. And then you co-taught that course at Prescott College, which was called Aboriginal Living Skills, before Aboriginal Living Skills School. So I've had that name a long time. And then you co-taught some things for ALSS for a while. And then you're full-on co-instructor as of when? You remember what year that was?
was it 2010?
2010, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So for 15 years. So
Mhm.
Mark's been with the school. Did you co-teach like the psycho you are? You went through this scary experience, whatever that was. Did you then sign up to co-teach to the college course the very next time?
Correct.
And then you co-taught everyone after that.
That went through 2001. Yeah.
And then I quit
Co-teaching.
teaching
Then you
there.
quit teaching.
What did they call teacher assistant? TA. You're the teacher's assistant, right?
That was as a student. The first time I co-taught was a TA as a student, but then I graduated and then I was a co-instructor not as a
So
student.
the college would let you be an enrolled student and still be a TA in a certain class.
Correct. You can do that for most classes, I think, if you've taken the class before, usually.
Do you remember some of the dumb stuff I had you do as a TA?
I remember you asking me to teach my own skill. It's like I knew the skills for the curriculum of the course. I knew what the course covered. And as the TA, as the co-instructor, you said, Mark, you need to teach an additional skill.
What was that? Do you remember?
The first one was a random weave basket. I remember that, like a bear grass random weave basket. I'm really into containers, and then following that was a agave stock container to create a tubular.
Did you beeswax the inside? Was it meant to hold water? Or
It was not meant to hold water. We already had the canteens for that. Yeah.
Did I have you teach a different skill every year you TA'd?
Those are the only two that I can really picture, those skills. So I'm assuming those are the only, like maybe I repeated maybe the agave stock.
So from memory, what did we teach? What was the curriculum? Now it was a block course, which in this particular college meant a month-long course, essentially, where you can focus on one course, which is pretty cool. In this case, it was 3 weeks, wasn't it, of five days in the field, just like an 8 or 10 hour day, making stuff. And then wasn't it a 5-day field trip at the end with primitive gear?
Yeah, point A to point B, dropped off, picked up later. Students didn't know where that was going to happen.
Right.
They just knew on the 5th day they were going to be somewhere else. Yeah.
What type of course or what type of skills did we prep them for that field trip?
Fire, shelter, cordage, traps, bowl, a canteen, a wooden bowl, burned wooden bowl.
The canteen was out of a gourd.
Gourd canteen, Roycroft pack frame to carry our gear.
Thank you, Tom Roycroft, for that pack frame.
Finger weaving, the strap for the pack, cattail sleeping mat.
I remember one thing we did. I used to get prickly pear fruit, save them, dehydrate them, and we'd take some dried prickly pear fruit. Then they had one full day of class on a real mono metate. At least the metate was given to me by someone who found it in a dump in Mexico. But it was the real deal, the one that's out in front of the school now. And they were allowed to process as much corn as they could into cornmeal for one class period, which we would take and make out. Was there any other food that we gave these poor bastards other than
I remember the cornmeal, the dried prickly pear. The other thing were beans.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. How could I forget?
But
the beans.
Which, of course, all that food was stone boiled. I mean, the prickly pear fruit wouldn't have been stone boiled. It was just eaten like jerky. But the corn and the beans, we only cooked out of a gourd pot.
Yeah. So stone boiling is we literally had a bigger gourd container. We had the gourd canteens and we had a bigger gourd pot. And we would heat up rocks. There's a lot to this. Don't just try this in your backyard with rocks exploding in your face. We'd put the hot rocks with some tongs or whatever in water in the gourd container, big pot. And like Mark said, we would stone boil it. And it's amazing what you can do in a container that otherwise wouldn't be viable to put over an open flame because you'd burn it into pieces. We wouldn't dare put it over that campfire there. or it would burn to pieces. Why, clearly you have a passion for survival skills. Why do you feel that learning survival skills can benefit people in general?
So we do, parse out survival and primitive skills.
You're right. Well, let's call it self-reliance, because this is a show about self-reliance.
Yeah.
What we do in the field, whether it's urban preparedness, primitive living skills, or modern outdoor survival, the dovetail joint there is all self-reliance. The context is obviously different. Why do you feel, because clearly you do, because we've been together a long time, that you feel it's important for people to be more self-reliant and learn self-reliant skills in general?
I mean, unfortunately, my answer is like in the question. It's just like, well, so you can be self-reliant, which isn't a great answer. I get that. I think it gives a sense of security. Obviously, if I were to divide that out into the modern survival skills, well, certainly if you recreate in the outdoors, if you backpack, hunt, go on a day hike, yeah, there's knowledge you want to have should something go awry and you spend an unexpected night out or more or whatever, that's what our modern survival skills courses cover. But then there's the primitive living skills, which is how I was introduced to the self-reliance skills. And I think that has a level of information that, to me, reminds me of what it is to be human. Here we are on planet Earth. Our species been here for at least 300,000 years. And there's just this little bitty time where we have stuff like these microphones and the cameras and the lives that we think of as normal, right? And that's just like this really small part of the human existence. But humans have been on this planet for a good long time. And most of that time, 99% of that time or more, they were living in existence that was more like what we, get a glimpse of on our courses, on our primitive courses. And to me, it's a good connection. That's how we're connected to nature. We, as in our ancestors, were connected to nature, up until a very recent amount of time.
But you were pretty hooked after the first class at the college, obviously. We're talking together, almost 97. I was super stoned in math class, so
28 years?
Long time.
28?
No, more?
20? I don't know.
Were you super? You don't. Yeah, no. A long time.
Right.
And something hooked you about the primitive skills, and I think you just articulated it. Have you seen that change other students and classes where nature reached in and gave them a different perspective that they might not have ever thought about or experienced that made a difference, like in the now time of modern living?
It's hard to say. I mean, have I seen it? I'm sure I have. But, our experience most of the time with our students is they're with us for maybe a week.
Boom, boom.
Right. And they might come back and do another course. They might share some stories. But, the answer is, of course, that's happened. But I don't have an exact or
it's personal.
Yeah, it's personal. But I can't imagine it not happening to other students in one way or another.
When you had what's clearly a transformation, however you want to call it, in that course, I'm just curious, did you know right off, or was it something some students will go through an experience and need to process, right? Mm-hmm. And then they might write me or you or whatever weeks or months or years later and go, aha,
right,
this is why this happened, and here's how it's changed or elevated me How'd that work with you?
I'm not sure. I'm looking back. What was it? I don't know. There was a component of the course where, leading up to taking the course with you the first time, I'd been taking outdoor education courses. You get together with the students, get together with the faculty. You come up, there's whatever trip you're doing, whatever excursion, it's all well planned, or it's all planned in the context of everyone knows what's going on.
Was this credit or just recreation?
Oh, no, this is credit.
Huh.
So, if you're doing an outdoor education course with Prescott College, the students know where they're going. They know the map. They know the itinerary. They know all the details. Mm-hmm. And leading up to that first course I took with you, I was brainstorming an idea for a course, a crazy idea for a course called Embracing the Unknown. And I thought, wouldn't it be great? Obviously, an instructor would need to have some concept of where and some information, but the students would largely go into an experience not knowing what was going to happen, because we live in this world, and this was in the 90s, and now it's
only gotten
worse, where we want to know everything all the time, and we want to know what's going to happen next, and we want to know when it's going to happen and everything, and we just want to have all those details of what's it going to be like, because that's comforting, right? But I recognized there was a process of learning and growth in not knowing that. And when I took your course, I was like, well, here it is, right? We didn't know, you didn't lay out a map and say, okay, we're going to start here and we're going to end here and we're going to do this, right? You knew some knowledge, but the students, the context was, we're a hunter-gatherer tribe. We're crossing terrain we don't know, right? And I love that. And that really resonated for me.
That's cool.
Yeah. And and it comes up in courses still, of students want to know, what are we doing tomorrow? It's like, well, depending on the course, it's like, depends on the weather, right? Depends on what needs we need to get made, what needs have to happen. But we're not always in control of that. And I've seen that unfold on course after course. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And on one we just did a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Right.
What's your favorite course to teach at the Aboriginal Living Skills School, and why?
Yeah, and this goes back some years when we do a little go around with the students of like, hey, why are you here? Right. And I'm there as an instructor, but I answer in the Ultimate Abo course that, that's a course, that's how I got introduced to these skills, because the Ultimate Abo is based on the Prescott College course, or vice versa. I don't know.
No, Prescott College came first.
Right. Prescott College came first. You designed that, and then you created the Ultimate Abo to cover the same skills and similar experience. So to me, that's a favorite because that's how I got introduced. But I also love the modern skills courses.
Why?
It's the modern skills are, hey, what's this show called again?
This one?
Yeah. Keeping your
dare
ass
you?
alive.
Keep your ass alive. We got to cut that out, don't we, Tony?
So yeah, keeping your ass alive. The modern survival skills courses are the ones that will keep your ass alive, right? Primitive living skills are great and they support modern survival skills, but if you're in a situation, whether it's an urban situation or backcountry, having the knowledge and the understanding of what are your needs versus your wants, and how do you keep alive? That's paramount.
It is. I want to go back to what you said about what it's like to be human, about what you got out of the primitive skills and essentially nature. It really has nothing to do with me at all. It has to do with her and going out and living on her terms. We're just kind of the guides, about trying to manage people with minimal carnage, for lack of a better word. She does all the work. And I wondered, I understand the tribal nature of things, right, for tens of thousands of years, and how we've got away from that over the recent, century, maybe 2 centuries, depending on which continent you're living in. Is it a general experience you had that made that shift about grounding you out to what it was like to be a human, the entire experience? Because I've had students that just, when they make fire with sticks, they've really either burst into tears or been so moved that they, you may or may not know, I have a degree in Jungian psychology and the collective unconscious. Like, how in the hell is someone doing a bow drill fire in this continent, and they're still doing a bow drill fire in this continent 20,000 years ago? And these people never talked, as far as we know.
Sure.
Maybe there was a dream time. Maybe that's the collective unconscious. So I'm wondering if your experience could have been triggered by a skill, or if you needed that entire experience, like I needed 2 rounds of drug rehab to finally get the message.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't say there was one skill. It was incredible making fire the first time. I remember it, where we were in Watson Woods there. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. But, fire's awesome, without a doubt. But then there are these other, like cordage. That, again, you could say the same thing about reverse wrap 2-ply cordage, right? How did these people on this continent figure out the same thing as over, without sharing that knowledge? I mean, how far, and we don't know how far it goes back. Who knows? It could have just spread with people as they migrated. Who knows? Lithics, breaking rock, right? That's everywhere. So perhaps to answer your question, yeah, when you're doing these skills and you're engaging in an activity, a muscular, skeletal, and mental process that is creating something that will sustain you, sustain your tribe, there's just a innate understanding that this is what it means to be alive here on planet Earth, right? In this form.
Yeah. I want to do that. I get it. And, I get it. But it's interesting to see, Mark and I we get clients from Arizona. We get clients from all over North America. We get clients internationally. And to see, and several of them are from corporate environments, right? Where they're not exactly breaking rock in the parking lot. And to see some people engage with nature in a way that, again, is visceral and hands-on, that they've never done in this body before. But maybe all these vibrations of all these people bashing rock on all these continents for tens of thousands of years, maybe it's still out there. And to see them respond to a fundamental skill that we would have all been doing, no matter what tribe, no matter what color our skin, no matter what God we did or didn't believe in, because they were essential to survival. It's super cool to watch.
Absolutely.
Some people light up. So I just wanted to go,
One other thing that I really, just to go back to the Prescott College course, how I, was introduced to these skills. the other part of it that I really connected with was the beauty of what we made, the aesthetics. And, you had a thing that you would say, like, you didn't care if things looked good. You didn't care if it was, had beads or feathers on it, right?
Right.
The beads and feathers. And you wanted it to work. And I think a lot of the craft of the skills, the physical things that you make, even a bow drill, even a stone flake, but, the other skill is a throwing stick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, you create something that's aerodynamic or whatever it is. The burned bowls, they are, to me, without extra adornment or anything, extra design. I think the function and the form of it is inherently beautiful. And I love the aesthetic of primitive craft, right? You go into a museum and there's the really beautiful beadwork and there's the really intricate, pottery or whatever it might be. But even just the basic, simple objects.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And it works.
Right.
And it's worked for a long, long time.
Right.
In the same context, cross-culturally. I'm going to ask you a difficult question. How have you tolerated Cody Lundin for so many years?
Yeah, I don't know.
Shit.
I guess I have a good. I don't know. We get along, right?
Yeah, we don't hang out.
We don't hang out, right? We don't really hang out much outside of courses and stuff, but maybe that helps. But I think we have a certain, way that each of us work, and it just kind of matches well. That's the best I can kind of describe it.
It's no exaggeration to say that Mark Dorsten has been like a father figure to me for many years now. Now, I've seen you puke. Have you seen me puke?
Yes.
Really?
Really.
Where did I puke at?
97.
I puked in 97.
We were all puking in 97.
Oh, we were all puking in 97. The puke fest. But you saw me puke?
Yes.
It was dark.
Maybe I just heard you puke.
Probably heard me puke. Maybe we'll save that either for this podcast or another one. Yeah. Now, in the interest of science, are you willing to share what I would call, general heat stress?
Yes.
And about how that worked on your body, how it came up and then mysteriously evolved. Go ahead and tell me the story. And it was much detail as it involves vomiting. So now we just roped in a whole other crowd of people that'll listen to this. Everyone loves talking about puking.
Yeah. It was my second time out in the field with you, and it was day 2, and I got nauseous, right? And
was it day 2 on the 5-day field course with all primitive gear?
Correct.
So contextually, we're humping around with primitive gear. It's not regular camping, right? It's a survival course. It's like what your ancestors did for thousands of years.
Yeah. And midday, I got nauseous, and all I had in my stomach was water. We weren't eating anything, and I got nauseous and I threw up, and there's a bunch of water, right? And I felt better after I threw up. I rehydrated, cooled off, rested, but it didn't take long for me to then be able to go again. And then that was it. It was like,
what was your recovery time? Do you remember, from throwing up and feeling like hell to let's do it?
Within an hour. I would say within an hour.
Did I force march you, or did we rest?
We rested. Yeah, we rested. And it happened, and I think you used to say it was like clockwork. You know, it would happen on that second day, starting on that second course. And then it happened again, and it happened again.
On the same second day?
On the same second day. Why? Who knows? I don't know.
What were you feeling psychologically and physiologically? Do you remember? Clearly, it was classic heat. You know, there's heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Heat stroke, Mark probably wouldn't be here anymore. Heat exhaustion, probably. And what I typically see in students is they feel nauseous, they get irritable, and they have a headache.
I don't recall a headache, but yeah, I just got nauseous. And it would just sort of come on rather suddenly. And I don't know if I was just because I was pushing myself and I wasn't aware of it or something. And I don't know why, but it happened, you know, for a good handful of years.
Well, it happened with such regularity on the second day that I remember looking at you one time and you looked like shit, like you were going to go down. And you were like, okay, everybody, I'm going to throw up. It's no big deal. Blah!
Yeah. And the last time it happened wasn't on ALSS course. It was when I was leading wilderness orientation. Huh. It was January, so not a hot time, not like May or summer, right? Modern backpacking. I was carrying a good load for sure. Superstitions Wilderness down in Superstitions outside of Phoenix. Second day, midday, almost like clockwork. And I told my students that. I was like, hey, so you know I'm going to be sick here in a second. It's cool, right? And they were like, yeah, whatever, Mark. Right? And then I was fine for the rest of the 3 weeks of the backpacking trip.
But then what happened to this strange behavior or whatever you want to call it?
It stopped. I don't know. I can't say I did anything to change it. It just stopped. So it went from very regular to like, this is kind of something I know can happen to me, to no more.
If you're a medical professional in environmental emergencies and know what in the hell happened to Mark for several years and why it's no longer happening to Mark, leave us a comment, please, or email us at keepyourassalive@gmail.com. And I brought that up with discretion. I'm not going to embarrass anyone. That's not what we do at ALSS. But I found it fascinating personally that it was so regular and so violent and brutal.
Yeah, I don't know about. I mean, it was violent. I'd throw up, but it wasn't.
Well, it's like this. It's shocking.
Yeah.
Because I was the one watching students' faces as you were hurling your guts out, right? And here's what they looked like. Right?
Right.
Because it's an instructor. Mm-hmm. Is he going to go down all the way?
Right.
Students are supposed to puke, not instructors. So it was really fascinating to see that dynamic and how honest it became. And I would love to know the physiology behind it, and I just don't. And
because it happened regularly, you know, we know that heat stress can, like, once you've experienced it, it can, you're kind of more susceptible to it again. Right?
You reminded me, but you weren't.
Well, I was until I wasn't.
What do you mean by that? You puked on the second day. Did you feel bad and compromised on the third and fourth?
No. That's not what I mean. Yeah. So yeah, there's a.
What do you mean?
Well, yeah, I'm not more susceptible during the course, but the next course, why does it happen? Day 2. What is that? I don't know.
Got it. Some students, because we have students, again, if you have a student from New Hampshire come out to the Southwest in the summertime, they might not be used to the environment. Clearly they're not. We've seen a lot of puking in the field. That's not a good promo for signing up for one of our courses, but sometimes it happens. And if that happens to you or a loved one, that feeling nauseous, if it's a heat-related issue, typically when a person throws up, they'll feel better. No one likes really puking, but if you tell them it's okay, and if you have water and extra stuff that you can, you know, rest in the shade and get them back up to snuff, what'll happen to that person the next day if they puke on Monday is I'll have to keep them, and Mark will have to be mindful to try to keep them out of the sun and in the shade. They don't need to full on rest, but their body will be more sensitive for at least 24 to 48 hours from our experience to the heat, based on if they let themselves go far enough to where they got a certain degree of heat exhaustion. So, and that's been years since that has stopped, right?
The last time was 2002.
Gee whiz.
So it was a handful of years before, because it would have been like 98 to 2002. So 4 years or so.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a necklace on. I'm assuming it has a story to it. Yeah. Tell us the story behind, because it looks very primitive.
Yeah. So this necklace was given to me. The stone was given to me by a student. And when I was at Prescott College, I designed a primitive skills curriculum for Skyview School. I taught
Skyview, how old are the students in Skyview?
Right. Skyview School is a K through 8 charter school in Prescott. Cool school. I don't know what to say other than look it up. Skyview School, right? The teacher, it wasn't a teacher, it was another student who knew of the teacher, said, Mark, you should see about, doing a curriculum for their 4th, 5th, and 6th graders who are studying Arizona history, and in that part they study Native Americans of Arizona, and you could teach them primitive skills. And I said, great.
So this was openly supported, and they were essentially asking for the curriculum then.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So I designed the curriculum and taught that in the fall of 98, followed up with an extra project in the spring of 99. And when I was all wrapped up, a student, he was probably in 5th or 6th grade at the time, Jesse Robbins, he gave me this pipestone argillite that is from Chino Valley area. There's a pipestone, you're nodding, I don't have to tell you, but yeah, there's this pipestone resource in Chino Valley, and he had carved it, and this elementary age kid gave me this pendant. So I've been wearing it. And gosh, I don't know how long ago now, 15-ish, maybe more years ago now, I found out he got his master's in archaeology and decided to pursue his jewelry career. So now he's a famous jeweler.
That's crazy.
And he has his own turquoise mine and does this amazing silver work. And
wow,
I have one of
Jesse
Robbins' first pieces of jewelry, right?
Damn. So obviously you turned him on to something cool. I mean, his whole...
I don't know if I would take credit for that. I mean, he was doing this, but yeah, there was something that, I don't know. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Well, it seems pretty obvious to me, dude.
Okay.
Didn't you do the big ass wiki up on the school grounds there?
Yeah, the old school location.
What was that made of, and did the kids help construct that? I'm assuming they did.
Yeah, so it was dug out, kind of pit house style, recessed, lined with flagstone. I brought in materials, and
what were the materials and then for the thatch and stuff?
Yeah, ponderosa pine and willow for the armature, for the structure, and then a lot of pine needles. Pile and pile and pile. So the kids really dug, covering that thing with pine needles.
How many classroom periods did it take to finish that?
I can't even. I mean, it took most of the spring because I would only work with them for like an hour at a time, on several days a week. It wasn't like every day, all day long kind of.
Did parents Prescott has some pine forests surrounding it, so it's not unusual to rake up your pine needles like other fire-prone areas. Did you have any donations of parents with bags of pine needles?
I don't recall that, but it could have been a thing. I don't know. That would make sense.
Cool. Hey,
if I could go back in time, I'd tell myself, ask the parents to donate
Ask
pine
your
needles,
parents to
because
donate
I
pine
remember
needles.
collecting a lot and bringing it to the school.
I bet you do. Yeah, I bet you did.
But they also used that structure as an outdoor classroom too, right? They would have groups meet in there. Not like it couldn't hold like a whole class, but that was a cool little space that they had.
Is it still there?
No, the school moved the following year.
Mm.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you in the field? Doesn't need to be on an ALSS course. What's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you?
A fun thing I like sharing with people. I was out. Wasn't an ALSS course, but I drove out the night before to hike in to a location for a course, a really remote location to do some recon. And I was sleeping out by myself. It would have been March. Sleeping out not too close to the trailhead, but not too far. Laid down. I was in my sleeping bag. Still pretty chilly at night in March. At some point, I wake up. I hear off to my left a pack of coyotes yapping. You know, like they do. That's normal. But, you know, a short time after hearing the coyotes off to my right, I hear some little, like a trotting sound, and a coyote ran over me, ran over my torso.
You're kidding.
No. So, I've never heard of anybody getting run over by a coyote. So that's
weird.
That's a weird experience.
Yeah. That is really weird.
Yeah.
What's the most challenging time personally you've had in the field, like the shitfest time, if any?
Yeah, I mean, that first course was really challenging. You know, to be sick out there, not know where you are. But there was also it was challenging, but there was also like it felt okay. Like it wasn't, lots of times you can think, oh, if I'm sick, I just want to be cozy in my bed and taken care of and everything's all good. But here I am out in the field, sleeping on the ground in the dirt without much comfort at all. And even though that was challenging, there was an odd, feeling of like, that's okay. And then of course you do your first course and you have an experience like that. A lot of courses then everything after that's easy, right?
I guess we should fill in the viewing audience. So, and I'm going to remember with you, and this is the first time this has been filmed, but it's not a feather in my cap at all, because I was the instructor for that, and Dave was as a co-instructor. Was I solo instructor on this course?
Yes.
Okay. So the responsibility is all on me, and I still take that responsibility because I'm the teacher in the field. It was beans, right?
To the best of
our knowledge.
Yes.
We'd brought some stuff from my garden, some fava beans that clearly there was more. If it was the beans, there was more to the beans than met the eye. And so as a lone instructor, what did we do to make the beans easier to stone boil? We soaked them. So we soaked them in water, and then we were going to stone boil them and cook them and eat them. And something was in the beans where I'll let you describe what you remember, and then I'll tell you what I remember.
So I think an important part of the story is you and I were hand fishing. By the time we got back to the tribe, they had already started stone boiling the beans.
Right.
They had soaked all day. The tribe was being resourceful and proactive, and just like they knew the routine at that point, and they started stone boiling. great. We come back with fish. We cook fish on the fire. We eat beans. Things seem really good, right?
Until they weren't.
Until they weren't. At that point in 1997, I hadn't eaten any meat. I was vegetarian. I hadn't eaten any meat, for several years, maybe 4 years. After I ate, I got nauseous. Not like heat stress nauseous, but like, oh, there's something in my stomach that's not okay. I stepped out of camp. I walked out. I threw up thinking, damn, there goes all my calories, right? I didn't want to throw up. And I remember I didn't tell you because I just thought my body is having a reaction to eating something fish that I haven't eaten in 4 years. That's what I thought. I thought there was some kind of weird thing, but I thought, hey, I'm going to eat this because I caught and killed some of these fish. And this is energy I need. We all went to bed. And at a certain point, I wake up whatever time later, and we're all just kind of piled in together. And I wake up, I need to pee. And you ask me, are you going to be sick? And I said, no, I already got sick. And you said, people are getting sick. So then, the rest of the tribe experienced what I experienced earlier. But for whatever reason, my body knew something was bad. And obviously it wasn't the fact that I'd eaten some fish, right? It was something else, and it was something that affected everybody. But it took longer in the rest of the tribe to manifest, where for me, my body took care of it right away.
Well, let me paint you a picture of this scene. We're in a remote southwestern canyon, extremely remote, on the tail end of a primitive skills course where we're hunting and gathering.
It was like day 3 of 5 days.
Day 3?
It wasn't tail end. Yeah.
A college course. All primitive gear. And people are throwing up repeatedly. And you can hear the sounds of puking students echo throughout the canyon.
And not just throwing up.
And they were shitting their pants. Some literally because they didn't have the energy to pull down their pants. So they were laying on the ground, puking and shitting themselves in a remote canyon. Something clearly didn't agree with us. I myself went down into the wash where this camp was and was shitting and puking with these violent abdominal cramps that would force my body forward. And then I would get hamstring cramps and it would force them back. And I'm trying to shit and puke at the same time while I'm spasming type bad. So this is really not fun. It's not on the curriculum. This was 1997 and it was extremely scary. And the whole tribe went down, as far as I know. And I had a particular student, and if I remembered his name, I sort of do, but I wouldn't say the name. He was very scared of throwing up, very, very scared. And so he was screaming in the middle of the night, screaming that he was going to die. And so there's a lot to leadership in the backcountry, and you find out about that leadership in times such as these, which I hope no one listening to this ever needs to go through. But sometimes you punch through the envelope. That's the nature of some wilderness courses. So I went to this student because he was scaring the other students. And he was on the ground, throwing up on his belly. And I picked him up by his clothes in the back and repeatedly slammed him on the ground and said, "Shut the up. You're scaring other students." And by body slamming him on the ground, It's not textbook EMT work, right? It reset him, and he turned. I'll never forget. He looked at me in the moonlight. But I don't like to puke. And I was like, no one likes to puke, but you're scaring the rest of the tribe. Oh. And that was that, where he stopped yelling. Yeah. Extremely scary, as you can only imagine. And somewhere along the line, we had round 2 of beans that were soaking. Because
the next day, we thought, let's get more. We need food.
We need food. We had semi-recovered from this horrible experience of the night. And I wasn't off hunting and gathering, and I smelled the gourd pot that the beans were in, I remember, and it smelled like something that just came out of my ass. And I knew immediately, shit.
Yeah, we're not going to eat those beans.
The beans had something in them from being dried or on the vine too long. I don't know what it is or what it was to this day, but judging from the smell of the beans, that's the toxin that was in there that pushed us over the edge. So obviously we ditched those. And then we recovered. Didn't we end up finishing the course?
Everything went as scheduled because A, we couldn't come out early.
Yeah.
B, we had to get to where our pickup was.
So we recovered best we could and supported each other like any tribe would, and hiked out the next day or two later to our pickup. That's what
and I remember
Mark's talking about.
I remember hiking out of the canyon and the students talking, and everyone was in agreement. We could spend more time out here. As hard as that was, as much as we were torn down and ripped down, we were like, we could go hunt, gather some more. And
amazing.
It was really amazing. It was. But they were right.
They were right.
They were right.
And how many times has that happened throughout history?
Sure.
There's a sickness or someone's got something bad in their belly. You got to keep partying on.
Absolutely.
I have one more question for you. And it involves food, but not that gross story we just told.
Right.
When you're on a long extended field course, we've already talked about things being compromised as far as what we might be eating or the lack of variety or whatever. What is your favorite food that you like to chow on when you get back to town when a course is over?
Anything with vegetables. I just want fresh vegetables.
I don't get that because we're eating fresh vegetables in the field a lot. So why wouldn't it be, cannelloni or rigatoni or pizza?
No. Yeah, every once in a while it's pizza. Pizza's good with lots of vegetables on it.
Vegetables. Right. Now, are you talking cooked or raw vegetables?
Oh, cooked, like Thai food, Indian food, something like that with a lot of veggies. That's what I'm looking for.
Got it.
Because to me, that's what I don't have in the field. That's got the carbs and the protein and whatever, but like broccoli, carrot, that kind of stuff is just. That's what I really want.
Okay.
When I come back.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
There's a part of this show called Make Tony Titter. There's Tony.
Yeah. Hey,
our
Tony.
Producer extraordinaire. I know what you might not know about Tony is he's a professional in what's humorous and what's not. Because he was a top tier guy at Cartoon Network for years. So he's been making the Tykes laugh forever and ever and ever. So what I have here is my invisible magical joke book of funny jokes.
Funny jokes. Are you sure they're funny?
Well, can't you judge a book by its cover, Mark?
What if I open that book and I share one of the bad jokes you tell in the field?
Is that acceptable to you, Tony?
It's off script, but I'll allow it.
I don't know. I'm not saying that's what I'm gonna do, but
So your job, before we agree or not with your little twist,
because you do tell jokes in the field.
I know. So, including the horrible joke that you might tell, and based on my magical joke book, the invisible joke book, write down the number with how many jokes that you think I am going to need to tell Tony to make him titter. Just write a number down.
You're going to tell the jokes?
Well, if yours doesn't work.
Well,
Like, is it going to take 3 jokes to make him laugh? 4 jokes? Write down a number about how many jokes he's going to need to hear to make him titter. And you, at the viewing audience, you can also guess about how many jokes it's going to take to make Tony titter. So Mark's going to write down a number. It could be 1, 2, 3. It could be 4,000 if he doesn't trust my book of jokes. Okay, he's got a number down there. Tony's not going to look at it. And since you're dear to my heart, I do adore you. You're a good man.
thank you.
You go first to see if you can make Tony titter. No, the joke in the field.
No, I did say I was gonna do that. I did say that. I don't know if I can remember.
Oh, come on now. You're baiting us. Most of the jokes I take in the field are not exactly family friendly.
Right.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you start.
Okay. So while he tries to think of something I might have said in the field, how this works, I'm going to randomly open the book of funny jokes. Mark has a number down here about how many jokes it's going to take to make Tony titter. You do your guesses at home. Random page opening. Here we go. Jan, what is Elvis Monster's favorite hit song? Fran, Love You Too Much. Okay, it's not working for him. So hold on.
No.
Hold on, I'll go to another one. Soviet auto mechanic. That's what it says.
Stated.
Your car needs a new transmission, but you'll have to wait for service. Will 5 years from never Thursday be all right? Soviet citizen. Morning or afternoon? Soviet auto mechanic. I'm talking about 5 years from now. What difference can it make? Soviet citizen. The plumber's coming in the afternoon. Got it.
Sorry, that was.
Well, it was kind of a long walk. I was like,
I didn't know. I was lost in the middle of the joke and I was reading it.
I like oppression jokes.
So what did Mark Dorsten have?
He got it wrong.
2.
Oh,
I had 2.
You are a winner here.
ladies and gentlemen.
And
There it
make
goes.
Tony titter.
After the first one,
Congratulations.
I was like, hey, that book is probably has not funny jokes in it. After the first one. Or like, okay, it's going to take a lot more than 2, but it didn't.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
So congratulations. I'll have to give you a prize off camera.
Sounds good.
So thank you, Mark Dorsten, for being a part of
Thank
my
you,
life
Cody.
and ALSS.
Likewise.
And you've taught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students with me, and they adore you because you're a great instructor and you're honest and you have integrity, or you wouldn't be in my life. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Cody.
So that's it for Keep Your Ass Alive for this episode. Leave us a comment or email us a question I may or may not answer at keepyourasalive@gmail.com. Stay safe. Always remember to party on and keep the campfire hot but safe. Hey campers, so that's it for this episode of Keep Your Ass Alive. Tune in next time and we'll talk to people just like you about survival advice or whatever floats your boat. Want to watch the only survival show on Earth, created, hosted, and produced by a real survival instructor? Check out The Survival Show with Cody Lundin at thesurvivalshow.com. Want to take your learning to the next level? Please visit my Aboriginal Living Skills School at www.codylundin.com. We offer field courses in modern outdoor survival, primitive living skills, or urban preparedness to enhance your self-reliance, confidence, and safety in the city or the wilderness.
Visit www.codylundin.com today.